to be here physically, and we thank all those who make it possible. If you are aware of an apology, could you please come and tell Craig at the end of the meeting? It's important for us to make known who wishes to be apologised for. Now, just before we go on to the confirmation of the agenda, just a run through. I'm not sure whether you can remember it or not, so I will repeat it. We as the Uniting Church operate all decision making through consensus. It might take a little bit longer, but it actually means that we are able to think clearly and discern carefully what is the will of God for us in this place, in the decisions that we make. If you have a question at any time relating to any information that is given to you, a yellow card is the way that you indicate. If you don't support the recommendation, or aren't warm to it, then the blue cards are what you indicate with. If you are warm to the idea, support the suggestion, and approve of the proposal, then the orange cards are there for you. Do you have any questions? Excellent. Colin is going to just scroll through the agenda. It contains information like elections, finances. It contains information about table groups from the resourcing task group, and Colin is going to bring an item, and because of my nervousness I can't remember what the title is, but it's what is Colin's item?
Towards a net zero.
Towards a net zero church. Sorry, Colin. Towards a net zero church, which is something that we as a congregation have strived for in this time of climate change, etc. So, having looked at the scrolled through agenda, can I see your approval or otherwise of adopting this as our way forward for this meeting? Consensus? Thank you very much. We have consensus. Yes, we have consensus. Thank you. The next item is the confirmation of the minutes. Now, you were invited to, if you didn't get the minutes online, you were invited to have a printed copy. We'll take them as being read, but as is our usual practice, we will ask if there are any questions or points of clarification that anybody has as a consequence of the December meeting and then the special meeting on the 23rd of February. So at this time, if you've got any questions, please use your yellow card to indicate that you would like to speak. Well, there are plenty of yellow cards down here. How many are required up there? Well, have you got any spare ones here? Thank you.
We can just wave a blue one.
Well, yes, but yeah. So if you've got any questions about the about the minutes, could you please indicate by raising your yellow card now that you have them? Don't have any yellow cards?
No yellow cards.
Okay. Can I ask you then to show your warmth or otherwise accepting the minutes, both sets of minutes, as a true and accurate record of the meetings that they represent? Thank you very much. We have consensus. Yes, we have consensus. Supply, mission in action, and supply ministers' reflections. Now, do we have Jonathan here?
No, Jonathan's not here.
I guess we could say that Jonathan's time with us is coming to an end. He will conclude his supply in the last Sunday in April. But we are fortunate to be further supported by Reverend Dr. Peter Trudinger, who is going to provide supply for the month of May. We fortunately only need another month because Reverend Ann Butler will be inducted in a service on the 1st of June at 2 p.m. So if you haven't put that in your diary already, it would be most helpful if you did. We would really love as many people as possible to come and celebrate the connection that we will make with Anne and her wife. Are there any questions that anybody might have about supply ministry and the supply ministry of Reverend Dr. Jonathan Barker? One of the things that I think we really should acknowledge and appreciate is the way in which he has provided pastoral care. He has visited many people during his time here, and that is something that all who receive a visit have appreciated, and I'm sure that we have all appreciated his thoughtfulness in his preaching. Any questions or comments? Yes, please. Now, do we have a microphone for Joan? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
I would just like to reinforce what... I don't know.
That's right.
I would just like to reinforce what you said, Bruce, because I've become continually aware over the weeks how much I've appreciated his teaching in his sermons. Also the fact with the recent Lent study, he certainly gives us an opportunity to rethink and ponder, and I think he even comes Fridays to Art Circle. So I think we're really blessed. We have been blessed in this time without a permanent minister to have others and to have grown with their time with us. As Peter Trudinger, sorry Peter, we look forward because we know that we are going to be blessed and we're going to learn from him. And so I think we all feel very grateful to our ministry people.
Thank you, Joan, for that vote of approval and confidence. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the annual report. Once again, along with the minutes, you were provided with an electronic copy of the annual report, and if you weren't able to access it that way, you were invited to ask for a printed copy from the office. The annual report is a report that should be read in conjunction with other papers and documents that come to you through the year. They should also be read in relation to the excellent website that we continue to develop. It doesn't contain every dot and jot of activity that we have at Morialta, but it attempts to provide a snapshot of the mission and opportunities for fellowship that we have here at Morialta, and it is provided to you by the Church Council for your information and for your reflection. Are there any questions about the annual report? Are there any questions relating to its contents or anything else about it? No? As always, I think that we probably ought to receive into record the annual report. So can I ask you to indicate your warmth or otherwise at receiving the annual report into the record of our church?
That's consensus.
Okay, we have consensus. Thank you, we have consensus. Yep. Fundraising and community building. Thank you very much. You preempted it. Thank you, Helena. I'll hand over to you for your report.
I'll keep it brief because I know you all want to get home to your air conditioning. On the screen you'll see a list of pretty much all the events we've got organised for this year and dates. There'll be more details along the way. The first one coming up, we've already been advertising, is Lee Newton, a South Australian singer-songwriter known for his music published in various church song collections. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but this morning the Mercy Road song was partially written by him, so there's a little taster. Tickets for that will be available after Easter, I believe, so please spread the word, bring your friends, help us along. We're going to have a collection of film clips after a community lunch in July. The usual Guess Who's Coming to Lunch, the Adelaide Male Voice Choir, who we've had several times, and we enjoy afternoon tea together after, as we do after all our concerts. Kim Perling has very kindly agreed to do another concert for us, and we have decided to go ahead with another mini market after the success of last year, which will involve as much or as little effort as people are willing and able to contribute. We might also have some other pop-up stalls during the year. So thank you for all your support of our events, which all help to fund our business here. Are there any questions? One over here. Hang on.
Not many people might know that Lee Newton was once a member of the staff here. He and his wife, Tanya, were youth leaders way back. I just thought that would be interesting for people to know.
The benefits of being long involved at McGill and Morialta. Thank you. Any other questions? It sounds like a challenging program, but a varied program, and so thank you very much to the fundraising and community building group. Thank you. Now, the next item on the agenda is elections. The annual general meeting is where we elect our leadership, our congregational leaderships.
Beyond Morialta.
I read that and I thought, thank you. Bev, are you going to come out and talk about the support we are giving to other mission projects, please?
Surprise, surprise. But anyway, I'm very happy to talk to you about our Beyond Morialta mission projects. And this year, we normally try and do an Australian, a national fund project and an international one. And this year, our Australian one is something very dear to some of our hearts, and certainly the team at Morialta who allow Approx, which is Aussie Knitting for War-Affected Kids, to use our premises for several months of the year. And you no doubt are aware of their presence here. Now, they provide clothing and goods for children in Syria who are in refugee camps. And the cost for them, and there's only a few women who are concerned with this, and they pay all the costs themselves. So we thought that we would help them in providing their big blue bags that they pack the goods in, and to help them pay for the transport of said goods from here to Melbourne, where they then go in on containers to Syria. So that's our Australian one. And this year we've decided that we will just make it a uniting world, because who knows what might happen in the Pacific during this coming year, and to allow them to put whatever funds we give them to whatever project is most needed at the time. So it's a uniting world again, and to these people from Approx who do such an amazing job to thousands, and it is thousands of children in Syria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Beverly. Now, the elections are the next item on the agenda, but before I give you the information that you will need, and before we appoint scrutineers, I just thought we thought that it would be helpful for you to know in particular the nominations for Elder. And at this time, there are some who are not here today. Michelle Benier is one of the nominees, and she is recently retired. She is also recently appointed. She's a recently appointed team leader of the finance team. And for those with long memories like Pauline, she was a long time ago an office manager when the office was started off in the cooker rooms and then moved to where it is now. She has other interests, but Michelle Benier is on holiday at the moment, supporting one of her friends. The next person who was nominated is Leonie Brown. Now, Leonie, are you here?
She's in Queensland.
All right, Leonie is in Queensland visiting her family. She's got 2 grandchildren in Queensland, and it's lovely to know that she is able to visit and to see them. But Leonie is a secondary school teacher who works part-time. She is a welcomer. She undertakes PowerPoint and projection duties. She's married to Frank and is a long-time member of the congregation. Anne Ind is another nominee. She's retired. She is the coordinator of the student accommodation program, a member of the finance team, a musician and singer, and she's married to some old daft bugger. Austin Phoenix is a retired TAFE lecturer who is responsible for the window displays that we see when we come into the church. They are the ones that are on the glass in the foyer. So his technical skills and his capacity for that is well appreciated and obviously on show for us. He's a guitarist and a long time, well, not a long time ago, he has previously served on church council, and so that's as has Anne. She also served on church council some time ago. Austin is married to Liz, and it's very good to have him as another nominee. Thank you very much. Now, Austin, where are you? Can you stand up so people can see? Thank you very much. Did you stand up, Anne? Thank you very much, Austin. Jan Sillett is the final nominee. She's a retired primary school teacher. She's a member of the Worship and Faith Education team. She's a worship leader, an occasional preacher. As you can see from today, she preaches on occasion, but regularly. So thank you. And she's also a flower arranger. Jan is married to Peter, who is a great support for her, to her, in all that she does around the place. So, Jan, where are you? Could you please stand? I don't think you need any introduction, but thank you very much. So, those are the people that you will be voting for in the area of church council.
Bruce, could I just cut in momentarily?
Yes. No, you need a microphone if you're going to speak. No, you need a microphone.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's working. Great. Okay. Yes, look, just in case you're wondering, Austin Phoenix is my real name because you can't make up a name stranger than Austin Phoenix. So just sort of clarify that one for you. Okay. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, thanks, Austin. Okay, now in order to undertake the election with veracity, we need to appoint scrutineers. I've previously been in touch with Leslie Titterman and Jill Kerr, and Jill and Leslie have both indicated a willingness to be appointed as scrutineers. All that is required is for you as members of this meeting to agree to that. So if you warm to the people named as being appointed as scrutineers, please indicate using your orange cards. We have consensus? Yes, we have consensus. Now, the ballot paper is a little bit more complicated, perhaps, than it was last time. You need to know that all of the people were approached and accepted nomination. Hence, they are on the ballot. There are a number of categories that will be there. There are enough vacancies for all people to be appointed. But to be appointed, 75% of we need 75% of those present to vote. However, there is no compulsion to mark every and all square. If for some reason you want to leave something blank, that's entirely up to you. These are the ballots, and can we get somebody to hand them out, please? Thank you. Now, are there any questions about the information that I've shared with you so far? No questions? Excuse me.
I meant to say this to you before we started. People, you need to remind people, microphones just not for use in here. With the live stream, they hear nothing. I think we should.
Right, okay. I'll actually, thank you for that, John.
Christine Garner has a question.
Christine, and John has reminded me that the reason we are so antsy about getting people to use the microphone is not necessarily for us in here, doesn't matter whether we're here or not, but those who are participating online would absolutely hear nothing if we didn't use a microphone. So if you want to speak, please wait for a microphone to come. Christine has got a question or a comment.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to clarify that there are other people who are still on the Church Council who are remaining on because they've been voted in previously.
Yep, that's right. None of the Church Council, none of the present Church Council came up for retirement. So we are in a fortunate position of having quite a much larger Church Council, which I think is very, very positive move.
Can we actually name who they are?
Well, we can name who they are. Rhonda Amber is... I will name the people who are presently on Church Council. Rhonda Amber, Chris Ailes, Helena Begg, Carol Lyons, Margaret Cargill. I'm trying to do it alphabetically. Margaret Cargill and John Seacombe. Oh, and me.
Yeah. Okay.
And the minister is an ex officio member of Church Council as well. Thank you for that and providing me with a prompt to share that information. So, if you have finished, when you have finished marking your ballot papers, if you can collect them and one person hold them in the air so that they can be collected, that would be good. Or has that already been done? Oh, I didn't do it, so it doesn't matter. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Oh, sorry. Oh, I can't see it, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, just if you do more, please. Do more, please.
Jill?
even though the ballot is a bit more complicated than usual, we hope that we'll be able to declare the ballot a little later in the meeting. I think moving on to the next section, which is resourcing and enabling mission, I'll call upon Carol to provide us with a financial report, our financial report.
She's coming.
Sorry.
Thank you, Carol.
Sorry. Right. Right. The main report today is the actual accounts for 2024. These accounts have not yet been audited by our official auditor, but usually we don't have any problems with them. And once they have been officially audited, Church Council will be notified of that. So if we're going to be looking firstly at the income, and this has been split into sections so that we can more easily understand it. Obviously, one of the greatest forms of income we have here is our giving. And I've given you there the actual budget for 2024, the actuals for 2024, and the difference between the two. So our envelope giving, as you can see, our budget was $25,000, and the actual giving in the envelopes this year was $16,700. So it's $8,200 below what we expected we might get from envelope giving. But if you look down to the electronic giving and the loose plate, they are above what we anticipated the budget figure might be. Now, I can't tell you why the envelope giving is lower, and I can't tell you why the loose plate offering is higher, because we certainly don't have privy to that information. So these are just figures that you might ponder as you're working out how you might give. And every time I stand up here, I do encourage people to consider their offering going through the UC Invest, monthly or weekly, however you choose to do it. The funds that are directly debited to your bank account by UC Invest are then returned to us at the end of every month. Now, with the money that UC Invest has, and it amounts to many, many millions and millions of dollars, they obviously invest that and receive interest on that themselves. And that interest, always, the amounts of that interest, comes back to the Uniting Church in one way, whether it's through grants or buildings or things like that. So please do consider if you might like to do that. It is totally and utterly confidential. If you would like to do that, please see me and I can give you the appropriate paperwork or information. So our total giving for that period was the budget of $108,000 and the actual of $105,000. So we were just on $3,000 under our budget. The next section is our student accommodation, hire of facilities and fundraising. Now, Anne does an amazing job, as she has been doing for many, many, many years, of supervising the student accommodation. And they usually run very much to budget because it's very carefully worked out. We can work out exactly what our income will be because we know the monthly costs and the utilities. So well done, Anne. You know, once again, you do a great job. It's appreciated by everybody here. Now, the interest on investments, we anticipated $7,000, and in fact, we received $9,500. And this is due to two things, the increase in interest rates over that period of time, but also as our bank account, our operating bank account with Westpac, as the funds build up in that, we are able to transfer quite large amounts into the investment account. And we've already been able to transfer $10,000 for this year. So we don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates over the coming 12 months, but we've been quite well served to date. The hire of facilities. As you know, the Dawudi Bora use our facilities a lot, and quite a chunk of that $24,000 comes from their hiring of these premises throughout the year. And they, as you know, they told us a couple of weeks ago that they treat this place as their home, their spiritual home as well. Now, the rent of the manse, we didn't have a budget for that because we didn't anticipate that we would be having to rent the manse out. We thought we might have had a minister. So the rent of the manse was nearly just on $24,500, so that was an absolute bonus for us this year. The fundraising, once again, that is beyond our expectation. Even though it was a mini market last year, I can't remember quite offhand what it was, but it was around about $8,000, I think. It was a very successful little market. Now, if we move on, thanks, Colin. These are things related mostly to the community centre. We've got the Japanese play group, the Tai Chi group, art and craft, library shed group, the friendship group, hospitality and catering. Now, the income for hospitality and catering is set off against the expenditure for hospitality and catering, so you will see that later in the expenses. And the donations and sundry income. So if we add all of those figures together, our anticipated income, our budget for 2024 was $203,000. Our actuals were $230,000 to $38,000. So we had a surplus there. You know I don't like using the word profit. We had a surplus there of $35,300. And that is a complete and utter turnaround because we did anticipate that we would have a very, very large deficit budget. Now, if we look towards our expenses, thanks, Colin. I'll just go through those quickly. The community centre, the pastoral care, worship and faith ed, relief preachers, audiovisual, they are all well below budget. The AV did not need to purchase what they anticipated they might have had to this year, so that was, once again, helped greatly with these figures. The Mission and Service Fund and the Presbytery Fund and also the redress, we are required every year to do a statement for the Mission and Service Fund, and that is our income, and from that income I can deduct certain expenses, and then the balance of our income is then we pay 10% to the Mission and Service Fund, we pay 2% to the Presbytery, and the redress scheme, as you know, is a future amount in case sometime down the track that there is going to be some recourse from some of the abuses that some churches have inflicted. The minister's stipend and allowances, once again, that's a great bonus to us because we did not have a full-time minister for 18 months, just on 18 months. So we only had a 0.5 minister during that time. The office coordinator and salary, that's very much on track. Thank you, Colin. The accounting and audit fees, that accounts for the congregational bookkeeping unit. Once we have finished with our monthly accounts here, they go to the bookkeeping unit. They generate the actual reports for that, and they also organise the annual audit of our accounts. Just the smaller figures there, you can see most of them are under budget. Now the sinking fund, every year we have $4,000 into the UC Invest account, the sinking fund account. The reason there isn't not a figure there is not that it hasn't been paid, but we now do a direct transfer from one UC Invest account into the sinking fund UC Invest account, so that will not appear in our accounts here in future. Now if we get on to property, Chris Ailes, we're always singing Chris Ailes' praises, and I'm doing so again this year because he and the property committee do an amazing job of caring for the properties here and really trying to minimise expenses. But we do know that we are only one disaster away from perhaps massive expenditure. So if we go through them, maintenance is $4,000 under budget. Our rates, electricity, insurances. Now the insurances there shows a budget of $8,000 and the actual of $18,000. That's because in 2024, in January 24, we paid the 24 premiums. In December 24, we paid the 25 premiums. So that's why the two are showing in that 1 year. So this year, of course, it will show that there's nothing for insurance for 2025. Cleaning materials, we obviously know that we have to keep the place fairly clean. Given that we also have hirers of our premises, that's very important. If we get on to the Highland Avenue expenses, they are also very much under budget, and as you know, we've had tenants in the manse for all of that time that we were without a minister. And the 24 Chapel Street premises next door, once again, those figures are quite a long way under budget. I'm happy to take any questions on any of these items, but I'm also happy to meet with anybody afterwards to go through anything in particular you would like to know or clarify. Christine Garner.
Yes, I've just got a question about the sinking fund. Can you clarify for me what exactly that is and how much is in there and why we do that?
I'll give you how much is in there shortly.
Okay.
But the sinking fund are funds that are put aside that are specifically used for major maintenance events or something like that. It's I don't know what the correct word is, somebody might be on me, but it is for future use should we have any problems. For instance, if we had a disaster like the roof falling in or something like that major, that is where those things would be funded from.
So contingency funding?
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay, so I'll present those. Thank you, Bruce. Now, I've also got a few notes here that I'd like to pass on to you. If I can find them. I did thanks, Colin, for the balance sheets. I did because back in 2023, we did we had a process where we decided we would look to where we might be in 2028, because at that time we had a certain amount of investments, and we went through and with the projected budgets and what our expenditure might be during that period of years. And I'd like to thank Steve Begg once again, because I put these figures in, but he did his magic and was able to actually come up with these projections for us. So what our projections showed, that by 2000, that's not up there, what our projections showed that by 2028, if we continued the way we are now and our investments remained only just as they were then, that by 2028 we would be $79,000 in the red. So now we come to the balance sheets. I just recently did that exercise, and these are our accounts at the UC Invest and our cash at bank, which is the Westpac Bank. So you'll see in 2020, our total assets were $252,000. And then in 2021, they did drop, but in 2021, we purchased these red chairs and we purchased a new projector. So that's why that figure is down to 211. But then you'll see from then on, in 2022, 23 and 24, our investments went from $211,000 to $303,000. So the total investment over this period of time was due to a few things, of course. We had no full-time minister for 15 months, and therefore we were able to rent out the manse. There was increased in interest rates over the time, and we had several substantial donations. And I would also like to add good financial management from the finance team. So, as I said earlier, the balance in the Westpac account, when that builds up, we do transfer that to one of the investments accounts. Now, the other item that really has caused us concern over the years is insurance of the buildings. In 2021, our premiums were $8,189, and in this year, 2025, they are $12,375. That is an increase of 51% over those 4 years. And we can only expect those insurance premiums to probably continue increasing. Now, Beverly told us about the mission and service, the Beyond Morialta projects. The amount that we donate to both those projects each year is a total of $3,000. So each of those projects will get $1,500. And normally this is done at the end of the year, but I'm seeking permission to be able to actually transfer the $1,500 to the ACWAC people so that they can get on with purchasing those bags they need. Can we put that? Thanks, Bruce.
Sure. So, variation to the budget and budget timing. You've just heard Carol's proposal that we make the $1,500 available to the ACWAC group now rather than wait till the end of the year. Can I see your warmth or otherwise?
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, we have consensus. Yes, we have. Yes, we have a question. We'll wait. All right. Okay. Thank you. We have consensus. Yes, we have consensus.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm happy to, as I said, I'm happy to see anybody afterwards and go through any of the figures that you might want to talk about.
Shall we ask if anybody would like to ask a question in the meeting? Is there anybody else who would like to ask a question of clarification or for information?
Nope, doesn't seem it.
No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce.
Carol, can I thank you for your diligence and your careful consideration of the finances? Table groups are for looking at the resourcing group, and so John is on his way down. Thank you very much, John.
Good morning, all. September last year, Council, in their wisdom, created a task group to explore ways in which this church could best be structured from an administration perspective to maintain and grow our mission and goals. The group they appointed was Leslie Titterman, Joan Morrison, Michelle Benier, Colin Cargill and myself. That group has been meeting regularly since October. Took us about a month to get underway, but we've been meeting regularly since then, and it's been very much in a listening and research phase. And hence we come to today's table groups, because we need to know what this church wants in the future, particularly in the way of administrative support. Now, administrative support is broad. The church office is part of it, but it also includes nearly everyone in this room, because it includes all the volunteers. And there aren't too many people in this current area that are not volunteering in some area. And some would ask, if you're not, then maybe you should ask a question, why not? A lot of what we are attempting to do, our next phase of this, after we've finished listening and researching, unfortunately is going to be crystal ball gazing. And we all know how crystal balls can get very murky and grey. But some of that murky and grey stuff can be cleared away by knowing more about what you feel and where you feel our resources and importance, and what is really important to you, both as an individual and a group, for Morialta going forward. I will ask a couple of people, Joan and Leslie, to hand out now some questionnaires that we are going to ask you to consider as table groups. There is 3 primary questions with a couple of subsets. The first question is to be answered individually, and being handed out now is a sheet that each and every one of you will get that has all the 3 questions on it, and a space for you to fill in some appropriate numbers on priorities. We are going to use the model that 1 is your highest priority and you do not have to number every box. So if there's only one thing in that list that is of importance to you, only put 1 down. The other thing is that that list is not exhaustive. It is meant to be indicative, because to list everything we do, we would have lost the purpose of what we're trying to get. So look at them as indicative areas that you feel are important. But before you do that individually, we're asking you to share in your groups what you think is important, so there's an opportunity for maybe your views to maybe change a fraction. They may not, but it's also important that you share with the rest of your group what areas you believe are important. The questions 2 and question 3 are the result of your group discussion, and is in those papers I just handed out. There is 1 sheet per table for answers on question 2 and 1 sheet for question 3, which we'll ask you to appoint a scribe to record what the table is thinking about those 2 questions. Any questions? Okay, we have about 10 minutes for each section, and I will try to keep you on track so as we don't just get hung up on 1 question. Certainly, if you finish 1 question, please move on to the next question. But once I ask you to shift, can you please wind up each question when you're asked to? Questions?
I'm going to go over to that table. You go over. May I come and join you over here? Yes, please. Thank you. Can you tell me what the
First one is church council, then morning tea on Sundays, worship, maintenance, live streaming, church office, and friendship group, and pastoral care. So you need to write.
Yeah, okay.
Whichever one you think.
Well, yep. Thank you. No, I can't see that. So if you once you've finished yours, I can tell you. The thing is, Merv, even if you can't do anything, you can actually pray for the community. So, and that is probably, arguably, am I on? It's probably arguably the most important thing. Well, yeah. Can you rank them at all in any way?
You have about 1 minute left, so maybe this is the time to wrap up the discussion and start filling in the sheet of paper. Can you please move on to question 2? Just let me... Okay, folks, time for question 3 if you have not already done it. Some groups I know have, but maybe we will reduce the amount of time for question 3, since some of you already done it, down to 6 minutes. Thank you.
Do you want people to help?
No, I'm going to say leave the paper on the table.
Yeah. So what should we do at the end of the meeting to reinstate?
No, don't. Let people. There's going to be after the one by the time you finish.
Yeah.
And I think. So let them go. Either I and somebody else will arrange to come up here during the week and reset.
Well, let me know.
All right. Yeah. Because
yeah.
1 minute remaining. So if you haven't recorded what you want to, please do so. Thank you very much for your participation. Can you please just leave all the papers on the table and they will be collected at the end after the meeting and we've all been gone. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, John. Can I just get you to show your appreciation for the work of the Resource Reallocation Group? They have met on multiple occasions, and I hope that the opportunity that you've had to respond to their findings with the questions that they asked was an informative time for you, and a time when you could reflect on your place within this community. Anyway, let us move on to the wider church and interchurch matters, the first of which is a brief report from our presbytery representative, Bev. Thank you.
Right, well, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went to our latest presbytery meeting, which was the first one that had been held in the country, and it was held at Moonta. And it was great to share with so many of the country people, as well as the city folk who travelled to Moonta for the day, or some of them stayed over. Now, our presbytery is a very large one, and we are on the southern boundary of Wimmera Presbyteries. And from us, it's then further north up to the Northern Territory border, because Frontier Services are part of our presbytery, as are the two peninsulas, York and Eyre Peninsula. So we're a fairly large presbytery, and so it was great a couple of weeks ago to worship and be with all members of the presbytery in Moonta. Now, presbytery meetings always cover worship. We always begin with worship. And we had a commissioning of Dan Fan, who is a young man who's now gone in as a pastor. So that was quite exciting for us to commission a new pastor in our presbytery. Reverend Toyar conducted the Bible study. Now, we all know him, don't we? So you can imagine it was a very worthwhile Bible study. And the only matter of business that we had to conduct was a change in the terms for the officers of the presbytery from a 2-year term to a 3-year term. And that was our only business for the day. And then we had a number of people who gave reports about various aspects of the Uniting Church. We had a report about Safe Church, and in particular looking at all of our, working with children, working with elderly people, and those regulations of our church. We had Reverend Cyrus Kung, who's a young pastor, and he has been appointed as Uniting World's rep in Adelaide, or in South Australia, and it's the first time for some years that we've had a representative of Uniting World here, and it was great to hear from him. It was also interesting to note that apparently most churches don't do Lent events, and I very proudly thought, oh, we do at Morialta every year. We do Uniting World Lent events. What else do we have? Then we had a report from Mission and Properties, and that's very much a big factor and a great deal of work being done in the United Church on our properties and how they can be used for mission. Sunny talked to us about Frontier Services, and then we had a very interesting talk by 3 ministers who now are sharing ministry on the York Peninsula. Now, some time ago, churches there were left without a minister, and now we have 3 ministers who minister to the number of churches that are on the York Peninsula, and their response was quite inspiring, a way that they are revitalising churches there, and that was great to hear. And then then we were updated on what's happening with the Port Adelaide Church. Some time ago they were trying to work out what they can do with their premises there. If you know, it's a big church on the Port Road, and it has a lot of property behind it, and they're trying to work out how they can make the best use of their property there in Port Adelaide. And then Uniting Foundation talked about the funding grants that are available for churches, and I'll just read this little bit. Uniting Foundation is a committee within the Property Committee of Synod that partners with United Church, UC Invest, and it gives money grants to congregations and faith communities. And I know at Synod, last Synod, there were huge sums of money that were provided for a number of different churches for particular things that they wanted. You know, one church received $35,000 for a coffee man. So if we've got something that we can think of, maybe I will pass this on now to Church Council, and they can look at it, and maybe we can think of something that we might need a grant to do. Carol, have you got this information about grants? You have? Okay, all right, well, I don't need to pass it on. Okay, so any other questions about presbytery? Nope. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for appointing me as your rep. I enjoy meeting with people and finding out more about how our church operates. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. The wider church interface is an important part of who we are. Remember that we are a community. The church, the Uniting Church, is a series of councils, and the congregation is one, but the wider church, the presbyteries and so on, and the synod is another. Colin has already made his way to the front. I thank him for that and welcome his input and his information about towards a net zero church. Thank you, Colin.
Thanks, Bruce. I thought I should be here so that nobody rushed out before I started. In June 2022, the Synod adopted the Synod of South Australia adopted the Synod Climate Action Plan with an aim to become a net zero emissions church by 2040. Now, the context for this is caring for the earth as part of our faith, for our children, for our grandchildren, and for all creation. And the justification is that carbon dioxide levels have increased by 50% since 1950, and Australian emissions continue to rise.
Now, Church Council endorsed this proposal and appointed Chris Isles, John Drew and myself as the team, and but a lot of the work has already been done by Chris Isles and the property team, and also John Thornton back when he was treasurer, because they installed solar panels on the roof of the hall and the manse and the student houses. And our only use of gas is for hot water and heating. Now, the pilot scheme was undertaken by the Environmental Action Group, of which I'm a member, and we set up 5 congregations who measured their emissions over a 12-month period, and those included travel and the use of buildings. And this was the data from one church which didn't use gas, so that was a 0, and their business travel was 1.7, but you can see that the congregation travel, and this happens in all churches, that most of our emissions come from driving to church on Sunday morning and coming to gateways on Friday, sort of thing. Electricity was relatively low because they have, like us, they have lots of solar panels. And but in total, there was 6.85 tonnes of carbon dioxide per annum. Now, the issues for us here, we will need to consider, and this is sort of an ongoing thing that Chris and John and I are doing. We're conducting a building audit, which, with Chris's help, we've pretty much completed. Electrify all appliances and totally move out of gas. And then do the economic analysis of solar panels and supported by batteries, because it may be that when we have Dawoodi borrowers here at night using electricity, which is not coming from the solar panels, it can perhaps come from our batteries. So when their electricity, we actually sell it to them, not buying it from the network. So there could be some dollar savings in that. And we'll be in the process soon of conducting a transport audit. And we would encourage members to join organisations like Trees for Life, support people who grow trees, and purchase creditable offsets. There are quite a lot of organisations that sell creditable offsets where you can offset your carbon emissions by paying a fee, and I'll show you some fees in a moment. And the travel survey, what we're going to do, we will be surveying your car, not you. We're only really interested in how many times a month your car comes to church and goes back to your house. We're not interested in you, in fact. It's your vehicle. And so we would need the names of people who come together in a car, the distance between your home and 26 Chapel Street, or if you don't know the distance, your address, because we can quickly work that out on Google Maps. We need the make and model of your vehicle, so if it's a Subaru Outback or a Toyota Corolla or whatever, and the average number of car trips between home and church during 1 month. And one trip is from home to church, so it's a return trip. And for example, if you are a couple and you both attend church together every Sunday, then that's 4 trips a month, or 5 if it happens to be 5 Sundays. If one of you attend the shed every Wednesday, then that's 4 or 5 trips. If one or both of you attend Gateways every fortnight, then that's 2 trips. And Gateways doesn't include a 5th Sunday anyway. So if you were a family like that, your average trips would be average of 10 trips per month. And the way forward, some of the things that the EAG have been looking at, and one of the things we're actually considering putting to Synod is that ministers should be supplied with an EV if the church is supplying them, their own minister, with a vehicle. Alternatives to using vehicles are walking or riding a bike, which we don't recommend for people over 80. But as my GP pointed out to me recently, because of my vision problems, I could actually use an electric mobility scooter for longer distance, so I could come to the church on my own and not have to have someone drive me, or use public transport, and so which we get free at our age, so that's not a problem. As I said earlier, we will also be considering solar panels and battery storage, switching to carbon neutral suppliers. This means that if you go to a medical clinic, then ask them, are they carbon neutral? If you've got a plumber, you can ask the same question. In other words, if we don't ask these people, they will never think of the necessity. So if we look for people who supply our services who are carbon neutral, then we're actually doing a bit of agitating and moving this society into a carbon-free emissions. And there are lots of carbon calculators that you can use online, and most of them are very simple, so you can actually estimate what your carbon footprint is. And as I said earlier, you can purchase offsets annually from as little as $4.40 per tonne a year up to around $40 a tonne. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Are there any questions? I mean, there's a lot of information there and a significant challenge for us, but does anybody have any questions of Colin?
Colin, can I just clarify for everyone here that on the transport form that we're asking people to fill out, that they only put the distance from between the church and the house, that, you know, that'll be one item. Then we can multiply by 2.
Oh, yes.
Because we've all got calculators.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we only need the distance of your house from the church.
Thank you. Yes?
My question was, when I saw get rid of gas and go all electric, I'm a bit worried about where all this electricity is going to come from when we're all driving EVs and everything.
I guess that depends on what government is elected on May the 3rd.
Yes. I think that, I mean, on current evidence, that it does appear that and most of the people who, like the, what are they called, the EAG or AEG and CSIRO seem to be quite positive that we're not going to end up in the dark. And as at the forum we had on Friday afternoon, as one of the candidates pointed out, the independent candidate, that South Australia quite often operates quite successfully on renewable energy on a day, for a whole day. So.
Yep. Any other questions or comments? Yes, over here.
I just might add that we've had a battery on our solar panels for a couple of years and we haven't received an AGL bill yet. We're mostly in credit.
Well, that's excellent. It can be done.
And if you think back to the balance sheet, there was at least $4,000 in on Carol's thing that we can save that and be like Sam and have negative bills.
Colin, thank you very much for bringing that important information to us, and thank you for listening and so attentively. The next item is declaration of the ballot. It is with great pleasure that after the scrutineers have done their work, we can say that all people named on the ballot were elected, and so we now have 5 new church councillors or elders. Bev Treadray is once again our Wimmera Presbytery representative, and Craig is the secretary of the congregation, and I am now the congregation chairperson. Can I ask those people, those people nominated for church council, if you could come at the end of the meeting for a very brief discussion, so that I can give you some information and seek to find out from you some other from information from you. The declaration of the ballot is there, and I am thankful to Jill and Leslie for their work as scrutineers. We move now to an important item on the agenda, and thank you for staying with us as you have. Any other business item is an important time for us all to bring matters that relate to the congregation. Is there anybody who has anything further that they would like to bring to the meeting for discussion or decision?
Can I go?
Pardon?
Well, I just got given the microphone. Are we ready to start?
Yes, go
okay.
for it.
Someone who had to leave asked me whether it would be appropriate, and I agreed, that we should move a motion from the meeting of thanks to Jonathan Barker for his 6 months of supply.
Thank you. Yes, I absolutely. Well, I'd be very pleased to put that proposal. All those in favour? We have consensus. Yes, we have consensus. Are there any other business? Without wishing to prolong the meeting too much, I would just once again like to thank all of those who had anything to do with last week's celebration. It was a time of joyous fellowship. We were very pleased to see the number of people who had been associated with the congregation in the past who made their way to Morialta and the celebration. But we were also very grateful for the way in which we were fed and the fellowship that we maintained around the tables. So can we congratulate once again all of those people who had anything to do with the celebration. In the absence of any other business, can you just, when you go, as John Seacombe has asked, leave the papers from the question, the table group's time on the table, and indeed, if you could just leave all of the tables and chairs as they are, they'll be rearranged and sorted out at another time. But thank you very much for your participation, for your participation from beginning to end. Can we stand now and I'll just briefly pray. God of this place and all places, be with us as we leave. We are proud of the community that we are part of. We hope that the mission that we provide will be able to continue. We look forward to maintaining a full life of mission and service within this place. We pray for the people who have been elected to leadership, and we ask your guiding hand to be part of their presence in this place. As we go, be with us, and when we arrive, stay with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you very much, everybody.